Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudhiraye. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So happy to be among all these wonderful devotees. I personally don't know anyone from this platform. I am new here and all the devotees are also very new to me. So today is the summary of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 4 and verses from 1 to 13. So these are the some questions asked by Shaunaka Rishis to Suta Goswami. Very amazing that these people, these acharyas, many of them are not from Brahmanical and very high tutelage community. For example, as you all know, Vyasa's father is Parashara Muni, a very celebrated saint, and his mother was a fisherwoman. In the same way, Vyasa, and in the same way, Shukamdev Maharaj. Shukdev Maharaj, actually Vyasadev is not Shukdev Maharaj's genetical father. Actually, Vyasadev has adopted Shukadev Maharaj to be his son. Shukadev Maharaj's mother was a tribal lady called Jabali, and nobody knows who exactly is Shukadev Maharaj's father. Vyasa adopted him to be his son. And in the same way, the speaker of Bhagavatam here, Suta Goswami, is also son of Shudra. And it says that he has taken birth from a dog's womb, So you can see none of them are from a Brahmanical class or anything like that. So the qualification is not birth. The qualification is the eagerness and interest. Somewhere else it is also mentioned that ears are the most weaker as well as powerful senses of a human being. Very important among all the 5 senses. Ears are the very important one. Generally people think eyes are very important. But ears are more important than eyes because the effect is severe. Imagine you visualize a picture where a person is stabbing another with a knife and there is no sound. We are just visualizing a picture. Somebody is stabbing someone and without sound. And in another instance, You don't see anything, but you hear a scream of a lady, and somebody is trying to trouble her and stab her, and she's screaming, save me, and all like that. And you can hear all kinds of cries. Which scenario will influence us the most? The sound. And it is also explained in some of our scriptures that ears are the first sense of a human being to function. Then other senses follow. So, a good listener is a very good student. A person who uses his ears more in a positive way. Ears are so powerful. That's why if we start listening to some garbage, and that influences a lot. So a smart spiritualist, an expert spiritualist will know how much to use his ears. So generally, sense control means it starts from ears. If we are very choosy about what to hear and what not to hear, how to hear and how not to hear, from whom we should hear and from whom we should not hear, then that person is very intelligent in spiritual life. And the famous quotation everyone speaks is about Socrates, and you must be knowing that. Socrates, that one of his friend came to and told Socrates that I wanted to tell you something very serious. It is about one of our friends. And he was going on every time, and somehow Socrates was avoiding that topic again and again. And one day this friend pushed him and he wanted to share. Then Socrates said, just answer me 3 questions. And if I am convinced, then I will listen to you. Okay, question number 1. The topic which you are going to discuss, is it going to benefit you in some way? Then he said, no, not exactly. I would like to share. Okay, will that topic benefit me? No, not at all. Is that topic going to benefit the whole community, humanity? He said, no. Then Socrates said, then I don't want to listen. Very smart and intelligent in how to use our ears. It's very important for a spiritualist. So here we can see the purports in the shlokas, Prabhupada is glorifying the speaker as well as the listeners. They're very qualified. And they're shooting so many questions to Suta Goswami, the sages of Naimisharanya, Shaunaka Rishis. And the only qualification is they're very eager to hear. Which I am to be very honest, we can't hear more than 1 hour or 2, like 1.5 hours. To be very honest, we get bored. Even during this session, many of us would be thinking, okay, when this will get over, I can move on to something else. Quite natural. We don't have to act as something which we are not. But I am sure you all would have gone and watched a movie in the theaters. All of you must have seen movies. 3 hours in India, sometimes longer movies. At any point of time, have we felt somewhere in between, it's too boring, let me walk out of the theater. Or, you become, after 20 minutes of the movie picture, you become very restless and you start scratching your head and picking your phone and, surfing in the phone or trying to call a friend. Never, it has never happened in our life. Even the worst movie, we sit fully focused for 2 hours and even more. That means we all can meditate on a topic. It is possible. Just interest, that is all. So 3 hours we are in samadhi. In the movie theater, the 3 hours we are in a samadhi. We pay full focus and attention. We are not even bothered about who is sitting behind me or right next to me. That means it's possible for human being. When Krishna says to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, when Shukdev Maharaj speaks to Parikshit and he says, pay attention on a topic, that means it is possible. So what is the thing lacking? Just interest, that is all. Just eagerness, that is the only thing. We are not very deeply convinced that this topic is very highly useful for me. Somewhere in Padma Puran it is said, there are 4 things. If you constantly think on that topic, that subject, those 4 objects will appear in front of us. One is disease. Second is snake. Third is a ghost. And fourth is Vishnu. If you constantly think that I'm feeling uneasy, I have some problem with my stomach, I feel uneasy, I feel some kind of a pain on my right shoulder. If you constantly keep thinking again and again, then definitely that disease is going to appear. And second is snake and ghost. If somebody thinks of snake all the time, there are some people, some weaker minded people, they regularly dream about snakes. They think of snakes again and again, and definitely they are going to see a snake or ghost. And the 4th element is Vishnu. If somebody is constantly thinking of Vishnu again and again, and definitely Vishnu is going to appear in front of him. So, it is just an interest. Just an interest. If you come to Mumbai, that suburban trains, that local trains, it is amazing, Each compartment will have some 200, 300 people hanging and, overcrowded. And the railway stations and the platforms are overcrowded. So many hundreds and thousands of people moving up and down. There are beggars on the platform. And if someone drops a coin, even in that such a huge noise, this beggar is simply focused on the coins. He can hear where the coin falls in between so much of noise. Samadhi, meditation. A pregnant mother goes into samadhi for 4-5 months. After 5th month, 6th month, the mother constantly thinks and meditates on the baby in her womb. She can't think about anything else. And that thought molds the consciousness of the baby inside the womb. So meditation is possible. We all can do that and attain samadhi. The only thing is, are we really interested? And the second question is, okay, if at all we do that, what are we going to benefit? Mind is an amazing thing. Actually, we have never tapped the energy of mind. We have not. I don't know whether you have this experience. You are going to a new place for the first time in life and you have never been there. But still yes, I know this room. I know this curtain. I know these people talking. I feel as though I have been in this picture earlier. We have some 10-15 devotees in this platform. Have you had any experience like this? If it's yes, please type in your chat box whether you had this kind of experience. You're going for the first time a new place. You've never been there, but you feel, yes, I have been. Yes, Mr. Hari Ramesh, yes, and Sumitra Vasu, yes, are both live. Chaitanya Das. Yes, many of you have that experience. Yes, somebody has answered deja vu. True. It is just a mystical term, a name given by people. But what it is exactly, right? How is that possible? And sometimes you will be traveling in a train, plane, bus, car, whatever it is, and you are drowsy and you'll be half sleeping, eyes are closed, and you will be shaking and sleeping, but you know everything that happens around you. Somebody getting up, picking their bags from the roof, and somebody walking inside. You know everything that's happening around you, but your eyes are closed and you're sleeping. How is that possible? Krishna says, Arjuna, raise above your mind. Uddharet atmanatmanam atmanam avasadhayet atmaivahi atmano bandhur atmanam ripurat. Just raise above. The spirituality is not a simple thing. Intelligent devotees should learn to differentiate spirituality from the religious rituals. Religious rituals should spiritually purify us. If the religious rituals cannot spiritually purify us, then it is just rituals. We should know where the spirituality starts. The soul attaining its purity. And the moment soul starts attaining its purity, Krishna is just a call away. And the soul starts acting, reciprocating with Krishna. Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachame na pranashyati. I am neither lost to him, nor he is ever lost to me. He can see me everywhere and I can see everything in him. And that is possible. And that is just the second level. Annamaya, Pranamaya. We normal devotees, we are all in Annamaya. It's just somewhere we are convinced that spirituality is good, Krishna consciousness is good, that's all. So we chant a few rounds and make sure everything is protected by Krishna and our journey goes safe, that's it. But it is an amazing thing when we go deeper and deeper into Krishna consciousness. The joy of mastering our senses, the joy of mastering the mind. Even material people have realized that. The famous Brooklyn Bridge, you all may know the story behind that bridge. Engineer started, his father started, and he could not complete it. And he handed over the whole the construction process to his son. And the son had a very strange disease. He was kind of paralyzed on the wheelchair, but he had burning desire to complete the Brooklyn Bridge. His wife was a village peasant's daughter, farmer's daughter. She doesn't know anything about engineering. And this man is on the wheelchair, but he had a burning desire to somehow complete the bridge, the first hanging bridge in the world. So he got his wife, just a simple lady from the village. And every day he used to touch her pulse. And slowly this simple lady, she learned whole engineering. And she built the Brooklyn Bridge, which is next to impossible. Nobody will believe this. But you can get the story in the net, how the Brooklyn Bridge was built. It's an amazing story. Material people have realized. I read recently an article, what is meant by phobia? Somebody are scared of height. Somebody is scared of fire. If he has pushed someone in his previous life and that person has died or he died from this thing, and in the next lifetime he will have that phobia, fear of height, fear of fire, just the impression on soul. What an amazing discussion these sages are doing sitting in Naimisharanya. And we think they are illiterate and they're not uncivilized and all. They have mastered their mind and senses. That is the greatest victory in this world. A man, if he can master his senses and mind, he can control anything and everything in this world. And Maharaja Dhruva proved it. Dhruva, by controlling his senses, the Devas ran to Brahma and said, Dhruva is doing severe penance and wind is not moving, the water is not, Panchabhutas, the 5 elements are stuck. Please do something. Then Brahma approached Lord Vishnu. So mastering the senses. And young age is the right age to do that. If we can master our senses and mind, that is the greatest victory, winning our own self. And the sages sitting in Naimisharanya and talking about all these things, about the planets and about cosmos, about comets. The shloka itself, he says, if you know that Jayadeva Kavi's Dashavatara Stotra, in that the word is used Dhumaketu. There is a word. I think when they are speaking about Vamana or Parashurama in Pralaya Payodhi, you can see this word called Dhumaketu. Dhumaketu means comets. They are talking about galaxies and comets and all kinds of things. The most refined talk. Krishna says, Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kuru nandana bahu shaka hi anantascha buddhayo avyavasayinam. There are so many streams of knowledge in this world. All leads to hell. Only one refined, resolute knowledge that leads to me. Eke, Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kuru nandana. So if anybody simply sits down and chants Krishna's name and reads Krishna's book, he is the most intelligent person in this world. Because he is doing the topmost activity and there is nothing else beyond this. So, the sages are asking Suta Goswami. Suta, the word itself says, he is from a Shudra family. Suta. But to him they are asking, and Shaunaka is the most intelligent Pandit, scholar, very elderly person. And he is asking this young boy. So we can see birth is not a criteria. Age is not a criteria. Just eagerness, desire. In Nectar of Instruction, Prabhupada writes, a devotee, in a devotee's spiritual progress, the only investment is desire. If the person desires to progress, and nothing can stop him. So the Shaunaka rishis are asking Suta Goswami, what was the reason why Narada did this? And why Vyasa wrote? Why all these things? So in some other Purana, the real story of Narada is given. And it just proves that just consciousness. It's all everything. It's all that. In the first life, Narada, we all know that Narada in his previous life, he was a Dasi Putra, son of servant maid. And before that, he was a singer in Gandharva, in Indra's palace. His name was Upabarna. Very celebrated singer. And he can sing and simply captivate the hearts of listeners. He can melt stones. Actually, music has got this kind of power. You know, it can influence the modes. You see the Western music, they sing, and by the end of the song, they start tearing their t-shirts and, clothes, and they break the guitar. A sattvic person turns into a demon by that music. But whereas the classical music of India, it will put you to sleep. That means the disturbed mind goes into a trance, into a peaceful nature. That's why you go to sleep. But when Western music Even the sleeping kid wakes up and breaks the guitar, tears the t-shirt, they go wild. Shabda Brahma, the sound has got an influence. And that is why Krishna has packed himself in the holy name. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Nam bina kichu nahi kono ar chauda bhuvana mage. There is nothing superior than the holy name in the 14 planetary system. So here, Narada was asked, Upabarna was asked to sing. And he was singing. There was a festival going on in heaven, Indra's place, and he was singing. And at that time, few apsaras came to dance. You know, Urvashi, Rambha, Menaka, they all came to dance. So immediately Narada, somewhere in his consciousness, he wanted to impress those dancers, those apsaras, the beautiful ladies who came to dance. So immediately that raga and all went in a different direction, was adding something extra. It happens even in our temples. Saturday and Sunday, temple is crowded. For evenings, the temple is crowded. In the daytime, mid-noon, nobody is there. Only the pujari does the arati. So, when the pujari does arati in the mid-noon, he just does 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, goes off, finish, arati is over. But on Sunday, the arati is not over, never getting over. It's like going on and on and on, and the pujari is doing all dramatic this thing. Right? So, we just want to impress people. So, Narada was feeling that. Upabarna was feeling that. So he was singing and he was trying to impress. So Brihaspati, the spiritual master of Devas, he realized and he cursed Upabarna. See, in your consciousness, the purity of consciousness is that matters. So it is a spiritual responsibility, a devotee's responsibility to maintain his consciousness in the state of purity. Because nobody will know what is going on inside you. We will be putting a nice show. Beautiful tilaka and kantimala, haribol, Prabhuji. Nobody will know our subtle body. Right? So it is my responsibility. So Upabarna was thinking about these apsaras and he was singing, and Brihaspati became very upset. So Brihaspati cursed him to take birth as the servant maid son. So it is consciousness. It's very important. Even if we are not able to maintain, we can really go and submit in front of Lord and say, Krishna, I am not able to maintain my internal purity. I am weak. Please bless me. And Krishna will bless. Instead of that, when we put up a show of a devotee, then Krishna doesn't like it. So Krishna accepts the consciousness. That's why even our society is called International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Krishna accepts whatever is there in our consciousness. There are many, many pastimes like that. There was one Alvar in South India in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. There was one Alvar, one of a great saint. Before becoming a saint, he was attached to a prostitute. He was a devotee at that time. He was not Alvar at that time, but he was a devotee. But he was very deeply attached to prostitute, and one day he was feeling restless because he was not able to meet that lady. He was very disturbed and very restless. Then he was praying to Krishna. Krishna, please, I can't control myself. I want to meet that lady and I don't have money to pay for her. And the deity of the village came in a form of a relative and gave the deity's ornaments to that devotee and said, use this money and go and satisfy yourself. Krishna paid money to that Alvar to go and meet a prostitute. Then after that Krishna purified him. So being honest, being internally pure, taking the responsibility of consciousness, purity of consciousness, these are the major duties of a spiritualist. It's completely his own responsibility. So here the sages are asking questions one after another. So what is Narada? What made Narada like this? So Narada Muni realized a tiny flaw in consciousness can turn into a big danger. Because when he was Upabarna, the singer, he was singing Krishna's names. He was doing kirtan. But in his consciousness, he wanted to impress those apsaras. So from the next life, Narada became so alert, awakened consciously. Not even for a split second, his focus shifted from Krishna. He had an undivided focus at the lotus feet of Krishna, constantly chanting Krishna's name. Even though Purana says he is chanting Narayana, 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 our Vaishnavas has written, he sings Radha Krishna's name. Narada Muni, Bajaya Veena, Radhika Ramana Nami. Constantly he is chanting Radhika Raman's name. He had an undivided focus. So now the simple question is, there are two kinds of devotees in Bhagavatam. One is like Gajendra and the another is like Kunti Maharani. So Gajendra was praying that when his foot was in a crocodile's mouth and he was struggling to rescue himself and he was screaming and praying to Krishna so that he will be relieved. Whereas Kunti Maharani, she is praying in a different way. Vipataha Shantuta Shashvat Tatra Tatra Jagadguru Bhavato Darshanam Yarhi Apunar Bhava Darshanam Krishna. Vipataha, I have seen problems and accidents in my life. Vishan, Mahagani, when my children were eating food, they fed poison. They were thrown in fire. Ghosts and goblins and demons were sent out after them. When they were sleeping, the whole house was set in fire. And on top of all this, my daughter-in-law was disrobed in an assembly. How much a mother can tolerate in her life? Her children were fed with poison and disrobed, insulted, sent away from kingdom to the jungle, and that with a trap. 12 years in jungle and 1 year incognito. They have to hide, and if they are caught, again 12 years. It's a trap. How much a mother can tolerate? But Krishna, I was going through all these problems. Vipataha Shantuta Shashvat. Permanently I was going from one problem to another to another. Tatra Tatra Jagadguru Bhavato Darshanam Yarhi. But one thing, Krishna, amidst the problem when I cry, you are there in front of me. And if you can promise me that once again, I am ready to face that problems again. This is the prayer of Kunti. Kunti is saying, Krishna, you can give me any amount of problems, but promise me in the problems when I am calling, you should be there in front of me. And another is Gajendra praying to Krishna, Krishna, please relieve me from problems. So many of us are devotees so that our health is taken care, family is protected, all our ambitions are met with, life is successful, my life should be taken care very well. So, my dear devotees, it's a simple question. Are we like Gajendra or like Kunti Maharani? You can answer in your chat. Are we like Gajendra or are we like Kunti Maharani? In what state are we? All right? Yes. It's very difficult to be in Kunti's state. Yes, true. Many of us are like Gajendra. We are simply devotees so that everything is protected. But there is a different level. What is the difference between devotees like us and acharyas? In the dvandva, the dualities of this world, labha, nashta, jaya, jayo, profit, loss, summer, winter, rain and cold, and the whole world is created by dualities. When there is a misery, we pray to Krishna. Suddenly tomorrow I am promoted in my job. Immediately I say, Krishna, thank you so much for your blessings. When I am fired from my job, I think that is bad. But dvandva is the nature of this world. We like punya and we don't like papa. When punya comes, immediately we think it is Krishna's blessings, and when papa comes, we think it's not good. But acharya is a person. Pure spiritualists are those people who accept both papa and punya with the same frequency. When Rupa Goswami's father, Sanatan Goswami's father, when he came to know that both his sons became Prime Minister of Nawab Hussain Shah, he took water and sprinkled on himself and chanted, Ganga, Ganga, Ganga. My sons have become impure. They're working under a meat eater. He was, imagine suddenly you get a news that your son becomes the Prime Minister of India. What he will think? Oh my God, what kind of papa has fell on my head? Will we think like that? We will think it's a blessing. But Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami's father didn't think like that. He thought, my sons are working under a meat eater. What kind of a impious life it is. So acharyas, the pure spiritualists, are those people who see papa and punya, profit, loss, victory, defeat, everything equally. But we are just beginners. When we get something good materially, we thank Krishna. When there is a test, immediately we get upset. Devotion is something to do with our consciousness and mind. This program and this process will enter deep within and repair ourselves and make us pure. Not external purity, consciously pure. One day Krishna and Arjuna, they were going on a chariot, and they both are very good friends. Sakha, Saketi, in Bhagavad Gita it says. Very deep, thick friends, and they were talking and talking and talking, and they forgot, they were traveling in the chariot for hours and hours. They left the city, they went out in the outskirts of the city, and suddenly Arjuna realized, Krishna, we have come so far from the town, and I'm very hungry, what to do? It's a long way to go back, and we are in jungle. There is no one here, right? Then Arjuna said he's hungry. Then Krishna said, okay, let us see something if we can get here in the jungle. And they saw one old lady's hut was there. One old lady, and she had one cow, and that's all her possession is. So they both, Krishna and Arjuna, they both said they're hungry, and the lady became so happy. Krishna, I'm chanting your names every day, and every day I bow down to you. So happy that you have come to my place. And she ran and milked the cow and gave Krishna and Arjuna milk, and both of them drank milk. And they were very satisfied, and they came. On the way back, Arjuna asked Krishna, what blessings you gave to that old lady? She satisfied us. She did a wonderful service. We were really hungry and she fed us milk. So Krishna said, I blessed that her only cow should be dead by today evening. And Arjuna was like taken aback. What? It's cruel. You are not fair. My Lord, she fed us, she satisfied. Imagine if she was not there, what would be our situation? What kind of blessings have you given? Then Krishna smilingly said, the attachment to the cow is the only thing which is holding her from liberation. And I blessed her by cutting it off. So actually we don't know what is really good for us. We are all stuck in raga dvesha, attachment and aversion. I like black color, I don't like green color. I like this prasad, I don't like that prasad. I like this devotee, I don't like that devotee. I like this dress, I don't. Why? There is no answer. Ragadvesha vimuktaishu vishayan indriyaish. We are all trapped like that. Only a refined, resolute intelligence can save us. By Krishna's blessings, we are all in this track of spirituality. It's a great blessings upon us. So, dear devotees, please use this wonderful opportunity. Millions of people in this universe, they don't have this opportunity. Only for very special ones, very, very small percentage, they are blessed with Krishna Bhakti. So please continue your program. Please continue your chanting. There will be difficulties. There will be challenges. It is quite natural. But please somehow continue your sadhana, reading Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, chanting, associating, spreading this message to others. And many of you would be doing that already. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.